Netflix's new NBA documentary series, Starting Five, drops October 9th. And one of the stars featured in the show, Domantas Sabonis, joins me right here on Locked On Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for another episode of Locked On Kings.
Hello and welcome into Locked On Kings, your podcast hub for Sacramento Kings coverage all off-season long. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. My name is Matt George. I have the privilege of being your host here. I'm a Sacramento sports anchor and reporter for ABC 10 News. And those of you who have listened to Locked On Kings over the last couple of seasons know how big of a supporter and believer I am in Sacramento Kings star Domantas Sabonis. When I heard that Sabonis was going to be featured on Netflix's Starting Five documentary series, I would have watched it no matter who was in it. But for Sabonis to be featured, it's got me very, very excited. And today I had the opportunity to go to the Golden One Center and sit down with Sabonis for 5 minutes to talk about the documentary series. Now, the conversation that we had focused primarily on the show itself. On Monday, Kings Media Day, we'll speak to Sabonis again, and we'll be able to start talking to him about the upcoming season. So this conversation is focused on the show. But it's a really, really interesting and really good conversation with Sabonis because we especially talk about family, right? And how Sabonis's family life, his life off of the floor was really highlighted. In fact, that was one of the primary reasons why Sabonis agreed to do this show. Sabonis is a pretty quiet, shy guy. On the floor, he plays big, he plays loud, but off the floor, he's pretty quiet. He doesn't necessarily like a lot of media attention. So for him to agree to do a project and a show like this, there clearly was something that he wanted to showcase. And a lot of it has to do with family. So I got the opportunity to speak with Domas. First time I've ever sat down with him one-on-one. I've had the pleasure and privilege to cover every moment of his career since he arrived here in Sacramento. But this was really cool. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Domantas Sabonis. Happy to be here with, should I call you Sacramento Kings star or Netflix star, Domantas Sabonis. Domas, there's plenty of time to talk this season. We got Media Day coming up on Monday. The Starting Five documentary is about to drop. The excitement I know in Sacramento is pretty big for this. Walk me through the process of having a camera following you throughout the season. You have all these focuses of success on the court, and you had an amazing season last year, but to have the extra level of having everything documented, what was that experience like for you?
Definitely different. You know, as basketball players, we're used to the cameras off the court following us 24/7, but at home in your personal space was definitely a new experience. And Netflix was great. You know, they made it super easy, but it was a lot. It was a lot of cameras. Wake up, cameras in your face. You're around the house trying to go to the bathroom, trying to follow you. You know, you're always mic'd up. But, you know, having my kids around, being in dad mode just made it super natural, seamless, and it was a lot of fun.
I'm glad you brought up your kids because the teaser trailer that they release and the pictures that release is you with your son. So clearly emphasizing your family and your family life was important to you and important to Netflix. How much are you looking forward to giving NBA fans and just people in general a look into beyond the basketball player, into the human being, into the family man who has this really important job but also takes their home life seriously too?
Yeah, that's the whole point of the show. You know, they really want to show everyone's life behind the curtain. You know, everyone thinks they know us because how we play. People who don't know me think I'm crazy probably how I act on the court with the refs or, you know, other teammates or other players, you know. But you really get to see behind the scenes of how I am as a father, a husband, and just care about my family. And at the same time, trying to sacrifice, you know, basically showing the sacrifice we do throughout a season and taking care of your body, going in to get extra shots, at the same time making sure there's time for your kids, then for your wife. So they really get all of that in there.
Family seems like an important theme just with this team in general, too. We've seen how much Rasay is around with De'Aaron's now 2 children, Keegan being involved in helping with the kids, your kids being around, seeing him courtside. I know Jordy Fernandez is now in Brooklyn now, but you would see his family always courtside. Mike Brown's family is around as well. How fun is it to be in an environment here in Sacramento and for Netflix to capture an environment like this where you guys obviously have a job to do, but your family is so involved in it, it doesn't feel like work and home are separate?
Exactly. That was the main thing that kind of got me excited about this show, was to really be able to shine a light on Sacramento and everything we've done since I got here, and just to show what's going on. We don't have many national TV games, and the whole world's going to see this, and you're going to see what the Kings are about. So that was the most exciting part for me.
Is there anything that you want or you're hoping to have someone take from this show about you? I mean, like you said, they think they know you from how you play on the floor, but is there anything specifically from this that you feel like, I want them to understand this about me and about this team?
I don't even know. We care here. We care here. We want to win. Everyone's putting in the effort. Slowly we're making things better, and, hopefully we can keep going up. That's definitely the goal, and this season's going to be a big one.
I got to know too, how much did your teammates have fun with the cameras following you? Did they give you some hard times with all the reality stardom, I guess?
Oh yeah, of course. I try to keep it on the low for the first couple of months, and then people started figuring out what it was, and then that's when I got a hard time. They came for a lot of practices, so at a random there's cameras everywhere, Mike, so the word got out quickly.
Finally, how much are you looking forward to with this upcoming season? The show is out. Yeah. Those cameras won't be around you very much anymore. Now you can focus back on, hey, the job that has to be done here in Sacramento.
The good thing is, I kind of just stuck with the same thing. The only adjustment was that I had to figure 6-7 people with their cameras following me. But, what are you going to see is what I'm going to do this year. What I did my first year here is, on off days, you're probably thinking, why is he doing this before a game or whatnot, but it just shows how the balance I've found for me to perform well and be home with my family. So the only difference now is there's not going to be no camera, so I don't have to stress about that.
Domas, I'll sneak in one more really quick too. There was a press conference that happened, I remember, after a Golden State Warriors game where Mike Brown had got involved, Rasay got involved, your wife was there. Having them come into and kind of take over that setting as well, which is normally a setting for myself and us media members, but to have them come in and have that fun with you. How enjoyable was to kind of be silly a little bit in the midst of serious?
It was great. We played against a big rival. We won, got the tiebreaker, so having fun, that just shows what we're all about here. It's not all serious all the time. We get our job done when it's needed, but at the same time, we're a family here, and that scene definitely shows it.
Domas, I can't wait for the show. Thank you so much, and good luck this season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Domas is amazing. I really enjoyed that conversation with him. If you take nothing out of this, in addition to hopefully being excited about the show, the second question that I asked Domas, his answer to that question, basically saying, like, people think they know who we are on the floor and probably think I'm a certain way because of how I play and how I interact with my teammates and how I interact with the referees. And God knows I've talked about this a lot here on Locked On Kings. This reputation of Domantas Sabonis is somehow a dirty basketball player because he plays physical, or like, if I had more time with Domas, and also if I knew Domas was comfortable with it, because I know he's not comfortable talking about this kind of stuff, which is why I didn't ask. But like, Domas sees that stuff, and he sees and knows what the conversations and the things that are said about him. And while he can block it out or ignore it and let his basketball game do the talking, that's why talking head dorks like myself on the Locked On Kings podcast can go to war in his defense. But he kind of gave us a glimpse into, like, this show is going to show people who I really am. In addition to the basketball play, you think you know me. Well, this is an opportunity for you to actually get to know me. And that's, I think, what I'm most excited about with this docuseries, is it's going to show me plenty of things that I don't know about Domantas Sabonis. But having had the privilege of following his career and covering him and interacting with him over the last couple of years, I have a better understanding of who he is as a person than most people. But this show is going to give all of us an even deeper glimpse into, this is Sabonis the father. This is Sabonis the family man. And the fact that family is so important and so emphasized here in Sacramento, I think is a really big deal, because family is everywhere with this team. You will find De'Aaron's family and Sabonis's family and the coaches' families and the players' families. They're around all the time, and that is encouraged by this organization. And I hope Netflix does a good job, not just showcasing Sabonis's family and Sabonis's family life, but showcasing the family atmosphere of the Sacramento Kings and why this place is special, not just because of the fan base, not just because of the Golden One Center, not just because of the city, not just because of players like Sabonis and Fox, but because here in Sacramento, it is home. Family is emphasized here. That's why Chris Webber came here and fell in love with this place. So many players have come to Sacramento and have not left after their careers were said and done. So I look forward to that being emphasized and showcased in the Netflix show as well. But our conversation does not end here. The conversation with Domantas Sabonis does, but I want to have a conversation with you about one of the, I guess, criticisms that I see of Sabonis, especially when it comes to now him being a $40 million per year player, is I want Sabonis to score the basketball board, to be more of a go-to scoring option. But if the Kings were to get more scoring from Sabonis and less of everything else that he does, would that really be better? Would you trade Sabonis's double-doubles, rebounding, and assists for more go-to scoring? Do the Kings actually need that? We'll discuss that at length in the next segment after I tell you more about the great title sponsor here of the Locked On Kings podcast, which I mentioned earlier. I'm talking about FanDuel, of course, NFL fans and NBA fans too, of course. But right now with the NFL season going on, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. When you get the hunch in the middle of a game, any game on any Sunday, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you can place your bets. You have a feeling about how the game's going to go, or a player's going to have a breakout moment, or you see a matchup that you like and you want to make some money off of that high basketball IQ or football IQ or just sports IQ in general that you have. Do it on FanDuel, and you can get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Put $5 on anything, whatever you want. A $5 bet. Hopefully you win that bet so you're already in the green. But no matter what happens, you get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed, where you can really get active and make some money on FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. So earlier in the offseason at 49ers training camp, actually, I recorded a podcast talking about Domantas Sabonis and the criticisms and the questions about if Sabonis is worth the new contract that he has, if he's a $40+ million per year player. And it was I thought it was a great podcast, and I emphasized why I absolutely feel that Sabonis is, and had a lot of really good comments, a lot of really good response to that podcast. Have had a lot of really good conversations with not just Kings fans, but media members, NBA fans in general about Sabonis and his new contract since that episode dropped. And probably the most common question, it could be a criticism, could be a question, that I see about why they may be hesitant to say Sabonis is worth the $40+ million that he's being paid, or the superstar status that I think he has in this league. It has to do with scoring. Specifically, like, they don't feel that Sabonis is enough of a go-to scorer, someone who can just go out and get the Kings a bucket when they need it. For someone who's making that kind of money and is trying for star status in the NBA, you have to be more of a go-to scorer than Sabonis is. And where I somewhat agree is this. Ideally, Sabonis would show more capability to get the Kings a bucket in big moments. Now, he does do that, not nightly. Every other game, maybe, but there are times, whether it's late in the shot clock or stopping a run or whatever the case, Domantas Sabonis will go out and get the Kings a big bucket. The dude averaged almost 20 points per game, 19.7 points per game last season. So it's not like the guy doesn't score. He's not Rudy Gobert, right? He's not really, really good in certain areas, and then just offensively doesn't really give you anything unless it's like right at the basket or alley-oops or putbacks. That's not who Domantas Sabonis is. Sabonis scores the basketball. But whether it's playoff series or big games or just watching Sabonis on a daily, I understand the criticisms or the questions of, Is Sabonis enough of a go-to scorer? When the Kings need a bucket out of somebody, can Sabonis step up and be that guy? I think yes, he can. I also think the addition of DeMar DeRozan doesn't hide that. It helps that, because the Kings now have another guy that can be a go-to scorer in those spots that Sabonis naturally is going to try to emphasize and get the ball to, just because of the way that he plays. So that got me thinking, you can't just say, okay, Sabonis is going to score more and everything else is going to stay the same. If that happened, then the Kings are taking themselves to another level, of course. But this is a give and take type situation here. If Sabonis were to score the basketball more and the other numbers started to go down. So let's say Domantas Sabonis scored at a 21, 22 points per game rate, and he showed more of an ability to be a scorer in big moments, taking some of those shots and also taking some of the pressure off of a DeRozan or a De'Aaron Fox or a Malik Monk. But he had fewer double-doubles. The assist numbers were down. He averaged 8 assists per game last season. The rebound numbers were down. He's led the NBA in rebounding over the last 2 seasons. If those numbers went down, he was getting fewer double-doubles, fewer triple-doubles, but was scoring the basketball more. Would you make that deal? Would you make that trade? Do you think the Sacramento Kings would be a better basketball team and Domantas Sabonis would be an overall better basketball player, more winning basketball player? Because winning is what's more important than anything else. I don't care about the double-double and triple-double streaks if the Kings aren't winning games. Neither does Domantas Sabonis, to be completely honest with you. He didn't care about double-doubles and triple-doubles and losses. He would rather win the game with 4 points. That being said, would you trade that? Do you think the Sacramento Kings would be better off and would win more basketball games if he was scoring more and his double-doubles and other numbers were down? I get scoring is the most important, but it does not happen on its own. I think the Kings are a worse basketball team if Sabonis is looked at more as a scorer than everything else that he does, and Sabonis becomes more of a scorer, because the Kings do not need that. There is enough scoring on this roster, and that scoring comes from a foundation of dribble handoffs and playing through Domantas Sabonis. Right? Sabonis will get the ball to Fox where Fox wants it. Sabonis will get the ball to DeRozan, to get the ball to Malik Monk, get the ball to Keegan Murray. Sabonis's first instinct is to make everybody around him better. And there's a reason why in his first full season in his first full season in Sacramento, the Kings had one of the best offenses in the league 2 years ago. In fact, it was the best offense we've ever seen. I know the offense took a dip last season. We're certainly not putting that on Domantas Sabonis. We're putting that on an overall Kings emphasis to do more on the defensive end. And like we've talked a lot about, the Kings, I think, are going to re-emphasize getting back to that elite level offensively this season. That happens by having Domantas Sabonis at the foundation of what the Sacramento Kings do. So scoring directly relates to and is created by what Domantas Sabonis does as a facilitator, not just the assist numbers, but how the Sacramento Kings run their offense through Domantas Sabonis. And then on the defensive end, yes, defense is not a primary strength for Domantas Sabonis. He's not a rim protector. He's not a terrible defensive center either, like for some reason people make him out to be. He's not. He's certainly not Bam Adebayo or Rudy Gobert or anybody like that, but he's not a bad defensive center. And what he does as not just the leading rebounder in the NBA, but the leading defensive rebounder in the NBA is he closes out a defensive possession. How many times have we seen the Kings play great defense for 23 seconds on the shot clock? A team misses the shot, gets the offensive rebound, a second chance opportunity, they score again, right? How deflating is that? Having the best rebounder in the NBA there in the paint to secure possession after a defensive stop or after a defensive stand is one of the reasons why the Sacramento Kings had the success that they had in the final third of last season. So if you were to sacrifice him being the best or one of the best defensive rebounders in the NBA and one of the best facilitators and passers, not just big men, but period, in the league, you want to sacrifice that for him to give you more points when you have Fox, DeRozan, Murray, Monk, Kevin Huerter, 5 guys there alone whose primary skills are scoring the basketball? It doesn't make any sense. It does not make the Sacramento Kings a better team, and it is not in the best interest of the Kings or Domantas Sabonis, who cares more about winning than his numbers, to score more to make himself worthy of the $40 million. He's worthier of the $40 million, not just because of the historic numbers that he puts up, but because of how he has directly influenced winning in an organization that has struggled to win for almost 2 decades. That's why he's worth that money. So hell no, I would not trade Sabonis's numbers and double-doubles and impact outside of scoring for more scoring, because I don't think it makes him or the Sacramento Kings better. Sabonis does not need to outscore you to beat you. It's what makes him so dynamic. So I would not trade any of that. But I'm curious your thoughts on that and your thoughts on whether or not it would be better for the Sacramento Kings for Sabonis to be more of a scorer and provide more scoring than anything else. Today's episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is also brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Domantas Sabonis was a blast on PrizePicks last season because his numbers are so bonkers that you could oftentimes do like a combination of his points, rebounds, and assists, which would be sometimes at like over or under more or less than 51.5 points, rebounds, and assists combined. And more often than not, he hit that over, right? Sabonis was a tremendously fun example of how to play PrizePicks and how to enjoy PrizePicks. So if you're considering giving PrizePicks a try, always check out Domantas Sabonis. But of course, you can be playing right now before the NBA season starts. Right now, 1 Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on PrizePicks every week in September. Only 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football weekend this month. 4 weeks of free wins. Do not miss out on this deal on PrizePicks. It's just one of the many exciting ways that you can play on PrizePicks. So go and check out the PrizePicks app, download it today, and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you pay, or rather when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNBA on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. So wrapping up our Sabonis-centric episode here, how about some predictions of what we think Sabonis will do this season for the Sacramento Kings? Of course, so much of this Kings season is predicated on success and making the playoffs and hopefully winning a playoff series. And when it comes to playoff time, Domantas Sabonis will be looked at under a microscope. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But the Kings are going to be a very good basketball team. And Domantas Sabonis is going to be right at the center of that. If that prediction is too broad for you, let me go a little more specific. And feel free to share your predictions for what's going to happen with Sabonis this season at any point as well. Number 1, I think Sabonis will three-peat as the NBA rebound champion. I think he will continue to lead the NBA in rebounding. The player that I'm most concerned about threatening that title, Victor Wembanyama. I think Victor Wembanyama is going to absolutely win Defensive Player of the Year this year. Everybody's expecting just a monster year from Wemby. Please God, I hope he stays healthy and nothing happens with him in San Antonio. I think San Antonio Spurs are going to be a solid team this year. Definitely a team not to take lightly, a team to be scared of, and a team that could potentially make some noise in the Western Conference, whether it's in the play-in or maybe even sneak into a top 6 seed if everything goes right. Who knows? But Victor Wembanyama I look at as the biggest threat to take the rebound crown from Domantas Sabonis, but I expect him to three-peat as the rebound champion. I expect him to be right back at the top or in the top 3 for double-doubles and triple-doubles in the league. Now, again, as long as those numbers are leading to Sacramento Kings wins, like will he have another 51 or something game double-double streak or whatever the heck he had? I don't know. That'd be cool. I don't think he's going to break his record personally, and I don't care if he breaks that record or not, as long as the Sacramento Kings are winning 50-plus games this season. That being said, if Sabonis is continuing to play the way that he's playing, and I don't expect the Kings to ask much more of Domas other than little nitpicky things here and there, as long as he continues to be the guy that we know he is, then he's going to be collecting double-doubles on a nightly basis. He's going to be flirting with triple-doubles on a nightly basis. So I'd expect him to be right back up there with the Nikola Jokic's and Luka Doncic's and maybe Victor Wembanyama's in double-double and triple-double numbers. I do think, and this is not a negative thing toward Domantas Sabonis, I think De'Aaron Fox will get the All-Star nod over Sabonis this year. I think that because I believe De'Aaron Fox is going to take another leap scoring-wise because of how that will impact him making an all-NBA team, which makes him eligible for a Supermax contract. We know that's a motivation of Fox. I think scoring is going to be an emphasis of De'Aaron this season. So with De'Aaron's scoring going up and the Kings hopefully being successful because of it, I think De'Aaron Fox will get the nod over Sabonis. Sabonis, remember, he wasn't named an all-star last season. Somehow he and Fox, neither of them were. But Sabonis at least made all-NBA while De'Aaron Fox did not. I think the script might be flipped a little bit for that this season, unless the Sacramento Kings are like a top 4 team in the West by the time we're reaching the All-Star break. If that's the case, then the NBA might have to just get both of them back in there again like they did 2 seasons ago, because the Kings would be probably on a one-way track to 50-plus wins in a very difficult Western Conference. Of course, DeMar DeRozan will get some love for that as well. But I would expect, if you were to tell me right now, like out of the two, De'Aaron Fox or Domantas Sabonis, who is more likely to make an all-star team next season, I think it's De'Aaron Fox, simply because of what I expect him to be playing for. But that's just kind of my feeling on the situation. I do think, and I'm predicting, that Domantas Sabonis' scoring average will drop slightly. We just talked about the Kings potentially wanting more scoring out of Domas and whether you'd trade his double-doubles for more scoring. I think because of DeMar DeRozan, because of De'Aaron Fox, I believe, trying to score more, another year of Keegan Murray, I think Domantas Sabonis' numbers will drop slightly. Again, he averaged like 19.4, I think I said 19.7 earlier, but he's actually 19.4 points per game last season. I expect that number to maybe drop into the 17 range. I don't think it'll be lower than 16.5 points per game, probably around 17.5, maybe 18 points per game. We're not talking about a steep drop off, but I expect Sabonis' scoring to slightly go down, as long as that doesn't impact his great rebounding and his great assisting. And if that's more of a product of just too many mouths to feed here in Sacramento and wanting to get those shots for DeRozan and those shots for other guys, and Domas being the team first player that he is, if that's a result of that, then I don't think it's a bad thing at all. So I expect that scoring number to go down slightly. And then finally, when the Sacramento Kings make the playoffs, Sabonis is going to ball out. Doesn't matter who they're playing. Doesn't matter who they're facing. Could be the Warriors again. Could be anybody. I don't expect the Warriors to make the playoffs, by the way, this year. Could be anybody. Sabonis is going to ball out. He's going to shut a lot of people up. I have full confidence in that. In fact, I cannot wait for him to get that opportunity again and make the absolute most out of it. It's going to silence a lot of people. It's going to make me one very happy camper here on the Locked On Kings podcast. Monday is Media Day. I'm very excited for it. Media Day, the unofficial kickoff, or tip-off, I should say, of the NBA season. We'll get to talk to Domas again. We'll get to talk to every Kings player. We'll get to talk to Mike Brown. We'll get to talk to Monty McNair. It's going to be a busy, chaotic, fun day. It'll probably lead to at least one, probably 2 episodes of Locked On Kings, with all the interviews and all the sound and all the best moments from Media Day coming next week. So if there are any questions that you're interested in having answered and you want to share them, and maybe I can sneak them in, or anything specifically you want to know going into training camp, let me know that. Again, share your thoughts on predictions for Sabonis' season, your thoughts on the interview, your thoughts on him sacrificing double-doubles for scoring or vice versa. Hit me up. Let me know. At MattGeorgeSack on Twitter. You can email me, mattgeorgesports@gmail.com, or leave your thoughts in the YouTube comments section down below. Appreciate your support as always. Can't wait to have you join me on the next episode of Locked On Kings. Until then, my name is Matt George. You've been listening to the Locked On Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.